Austin. This is your host, Corey Tabor, the Purpose Partner and founder of Triple I Coaching, where we are informing, instructing, and inspiring you to fulfill your purpose. I am so excited to introduce our new podcast, What's Good, Austin, a podcast designed to highlight the good work that people are doing in our community. You know, I've lived in Austin for over 25 years since moving here from Abilene, Texas to attend the University of Texas. Hook 'em horns. I love our community, and I want you to know about many of the good things that are happening in our city. So many of our media outlets thrive on the challenging things that are happening in our city, like record-breaking homicides, a high population of residents experiencing homelessness, and the traffic. Let's not start talking about the traffic. With all the challenges we see on a daily basis, we need a hope shot, something that will inspire us to partner together to see the change we want to see in our city by being the change we want to see in our city. So I will be interviewing people who are doing good work in the business and nonprofit sectors, as well as in our education and faith communities. We might even interview a few celebrities because they tend to love Austin too. There's an often quoted slogan that says, "Keep Austin weird." Well, we're going to keep Austin winning by focusing on the good work we're seeing in our city. Now, I need you to go to your preferred podcast platform and subscribe to What's Good Austin. Then share this podcast with your friends, family members, coworkers, and your crazy cousins. Let's kick off 2022 with a bang. Focus on looking forward to seeing the journey that we can have together as we discover what is good in our city and partner together to make Austin even greater. Again, this is your host, Corey Tabor, the Purpose Partner. Until next time, remember to love your family, be a good neighbor, and make a deposit in someone else's life today. What's good, Austin? This is your host, Corey Tabor, the Purpose Partner and founder of Triple I Coaching, where we are informing, instructing, and inspiring you to fulfill your purpose. I'm so excited to have our first guest today for our What's Good Austin podcast, my friend, brother, and dare I say mentor, Joseph Dusty McCormick, who works with the city of Austin in their economic development department as a liaison. And so I'm excited to have you, Dusty. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate the invite.
No problem. You are what is good about Austin. And so we're going to start off with our Austin and you rapid fire questions. So these are just some quick questions for people to get to know you real quickly. So tell me, how long have you lived in Austin?
Right about almost 32 years.
32 years. Okay. What brought you to Austin?
I was leaving San Antonio. I was actually had lost my apartment. I was paying back in those days $250 a month for an apartment. Okay, can you believe that price? $250 a month for an apartment, and I was unemployed or underemployed, I should say, and I lost my apartment, and I needed to find work, and so I headed out, packing my car, and headed north on I-35 on my way to St. Louis. A friend of mine called me on the way and said, "Hey, I think they got a job for you over at the Austin Area Urban League. Why don't you go over there and check it out and see what you can find?" And I did. Got the job on the spot. Hey, and the rest is I've been here the whole time. So it was I think the thing I was supposed to do, but had no idea it was going to transpire the way that it did.
Oh man, that is awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about what you love about Austin.
Man, I love the environment. I love the weather. Number one, with the exception of last year's weather, around February the 15th. I don't particularly care for that. I've had enough of that in my life, having lived in North Dakota, Minot, North Dakota to be exact, which is one of the coldest cities in the nation every year. And then from there, I went to Chicago, and I was, or just south of Chicago, I was saying, and I was stationed at a base called Chanute Air Force Base. And that's, 6 years there, 4 years up in North Dakota, 6 years in just south of Chicago. I had enough of cold. And so when I got in the military, I wanted warm weather. So I headed directly south. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, and what would you say is your favorite place to be in Austin? It's a beautiful city, lots of places to be. What is your favorite place to be in our city?
I love being on the lake. They got a place called Mozart, which is right down on Lake Austin. I go down there on a regular basis and just chill out, man. Me and the water and my personality just kind of mesh together.
That's so fun.
I can sit there and just, especially on a nice warm day with a little breeze, I can just allow myself to go off into the sunset,
Right.
and not worry about anything. Yeah, I love that though.
Yeah, we love Mozart's, man. Mozart's is where I asked my wife to be my girlfriend.
Oh, really? Okay.
In 1999.
All right.
11:37 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay. All right. I know she likes to know that you have those details.
Oh man, I'm an archivist, man. I remember all the details. And we go back, for special events. Remember her mom who passed a number of years ago. They used to love to go there during spring break and South by Southwest. What would you say is your favorite restaurant in Austin? Because we love to eat in Texas. So what's your favorite restaurant?
I'm a foodie, so I don't know that I have a favorite restaurant necessarily. I'm a guy that just loves to eat. But one of my restaurants that I like to eat at is Sawyer's, which is right out on just east of Cesar Chavez.
Okay.
And it has been a restaurant that I helped to finance at the city of Austin. But they have some good kind of Cajun Creole food and that type of thing. But I'm like I said, I'm a foodie. I eat all kinds of food: Indian food, soul food, Mexican food, Asian food. I love it. I even have a favorite restaurant that I've been going to. It's located in San Antonio, and I've been going to that restaurant probably close to 35 years. And it's called the Acadiana Cafe, and it's a Cajun Creole restaurant, but they have wonderful food, and they've been open all this time. And so, yeah, I eat anywhere and just about anything. My motto is whenever I fly into a new city, within 2 hours of touchdown, I'm in the most authentic restaurant in that city, the most authentic restaurant.
Yeah, well, that's a great way to experience cities, and I think that's the way a lot of people experience Austin when they come here for South by Southwest, or they come here for Austin City Limits Festival, or the Circuit of the Americas race, or they just come to visit the University of Texas for a game. They love the food here, and so my hope is over the year to build a list of all these guests' favorite restaurants, and then I'm gonna try to go and do some food tasting and see if they'll put it on the What's Good Austin tab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'll be a thing to do. That'll be the thing to do. But yeah,
definitely. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started with this part of your career.
Well, now these days I'm in the economic development field, and that's really the creation of jobs. That's economic development is defined as the creation of jobs, basically. And you're trying to help cities or counties or states, create jobs for skilled workers, so that workers can have a quality of life and can have the kind of quality of life that they can, pay for a room and board, house, and the kids go to school, and clothes on their backs, and all those things. Have a car in the front yard and transportation and that type of thing. And so you're really trying to help them have the quality of life that they need. And so we do that through programs and ways by which small businesses. And so that's what I do. I right now, specifically, I interact with a lot of the minority chambers of commerce, and contract with us at the city of Austin, and they do economic development work within those sectors of the community that they particularly have an avenue in. So we're talking about the Greater Austin Black Chamber, Greater Austin Asian Chamber, Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber, and the LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And so all of those are chambers that we interact with. I'm mainly as the contract manager, and so they do work for us, and they have eyes and ears that we don't have, and have feet that go places that we can't get to because we don't have the staff. But they do a good job for us. They're our partners in economic development.
Well, I love that collaboration. I think that is something that this show is about, but it's really something I've been about my whole life. I really believe in partnering with existing organizations to bring about quality work in our community. And so I'm glad that you are able to, as an employee of the city, work with these organizations that are strategically working to reach their community of interest or their focus area and see the transformation there. So tell me a little bit about the critical turning points or point in your life that have placed you on this trajectory. Because you haven't always been doing this role of economic development liaison.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good question. When I came out of college, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Air Force. Okay. So I went into the military, and I spent 11 years in the military. I was a combat crew commander at Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota. In other words, I turned keys on the missiles and that type of thing. And so we were on alerts on a regular basis. But I did that, and then I went into administration, base administration, into budgeting and administrating of the various of troops and that type of thing. And then I got out after a while, and then. When I got out, I was on the heels of some unfortunate events in my life. First of all, I was separating from the military. Okay, and so being in the military, you sometimes are in a bubble, and you're not necessarily impacted on what the rest of the civilian population is impacted by. And so I, exited the Air Force, and all of a sudden, bam, I'm there. It's kind of like, okay, what do you do next? I'd always, applied for a number of jobs. I think 100, maybe somewhere around 75 to 100 jobs. Didn't get not a job, not one job. Okay, not at all. And so so I basically fell flat on my face. And it was on the heels of a divorce at the same time. Okay, changing jobs, industry, so to speak. Didn't get a job. So I fell flat on my face, became homeless. The whole shebang, and that's when I lost my apartment. I was in San Antonio at that time, and but I was on my way trying to get to a certain place in life. And while I was there in San Antonio, I did have a short stint with a nonprofit organization that allowed me to teach some youth, and some of these were at-risk youth that had flunked or had been held back in their grades. 1, 2, and sometimes even 3 years. And so it was a situation of trying to get them to see beyond their environment, to be able to dream about opportunities, that they could reach. And so I wanted to talk to them, teach them about economic development. What does it really mean? Come out of your neighborhood and let's see what the world has to offer you. You have a skill, you have a passion for something. I know you do, because I see a twinkle in your eye. And so let's figure out how to get that done. And so that's what we did. So I got into economic development by way of trying to show them what economic development was about in the city of San Antonio. And that stuck with me. And then also the fact that I was unemployed and homeless at one point in time. And so that in and of itself, that was really an issue for me. I came to Austin, got one job, and then that was a temporary job. At the Austin Area Urban League, but I'm very thankful for having that job. And then I was unemployed again, and then I got on with the state of Texas. And guess what? I was in the Economic Development Department of the state of Texas, and so I was excited to be there. And that's kind of what kind of got me into economic development on that trajectory. I had a passion for creating people who wanted to make it in life. Youth, it mattered if youth or adults. That type it just didn't matter. I wanted to make sure I was able to help folks. I have a helping kind of attitude. And so economic development was my leverage point to be able to do that. And I could help a lot of folk at the same time. When you turned that crank, it wasn't Wednesday, Tuesday, but you get a lot of folks some help by helping 1 or 2 businesses at the same time.
Man, that's an amazing story to hear, especially considering just the reality of many people in our communities are literally one check away from experiencing homelessness. And it's something that our city has done some strategic things to try to work towards alleviating and reducing the people that are experiencing that. But what your story shows us is that season is not the end, but it often can be a new beginning with the opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. So talk to me a little bit about the boards that you currently serve on today, and what has caused you to be involved in these boards in particular?
Well, I serve on the MIDI Foundation. The MIDI Foundation is a board that is an educational organization. We supply funding for students who are matriculating to college, and many of those students have a disability. And so we're in the process of giving them scholarships to get them where they need to be at. And so it helps with my youth perspective. I like dealing with youth, and so that's a board I'm excited about being It's also I'm on the National Forum for Black Public Administrators. And so I'm on the national board for that one. And, you know, I've been in that organization for a number of years. And that organization is about helping African Americans get to senior level positions in public administration. Having been a chapter president, having been the president of the Council of Presidents, having been now on the national board, I get a chance to, you know, develop programs that are nationally recognized and affect, you know, some 30 or 40 different chapters across the United States. And so that is an organization I really enjoy. And then lastly, this thing that, you know, this thing of homelessness, you know, kind of comes back to me every now and then. I served on, I still serve on what is called the Lions Garden Senior Housing Facility Board. We created some, I want to say 15 years ago, 54 units of senior housing for elderly persons within the city of Austin. There was there was a shortage of housing for them. And so we created that opportunity for them, and it is still standing. If you go there now, you'll see my name and my name with others, you know, on a plaque there, and as one of the, as you know, maybe not the founder or anything like that, but as one of the ones to develop that, to bring that to fruition. And we're about to look and start a second, a second unit with about 60 units of housing as well. And so I'm excited about what that's all about. So those three areas kind of go, you know, those kind of in my areas of interest, you know, economic development, public administration, youth development, all those things.
Awesome, man. Well, it's so good to hear the way you're giving back and serving beyond your job. I had a job one time, and they saw that I was doing so much in the community, and they were asking me, you know, why do you do all the things you do outside of your work? I said, well, the community I was raised in, that was just normal. Like, you gave back because of what you have been given. And, you know, I grew up in a family where we went to church 7 days a week. So having a free night in the week to do something, to me, was a privilege, you know, so I could sit on a board here and there and, you know, be able to give back for, you know, a meeting once a month. So I think if all of the people in our city could say yes to one thing that they could commit to beyond their job, giving back to our community, whether it be sitting on a board of directors for a nonprofit or serving on a schoolhouse foundation or participating in a nonprofit in their community, that our city would continue to grow to have the kind of value where we can, again, be the change we want to see in the world. We know that everybody's still experiencing this pandemic. What is Austin doing for businesses around the unemployment issue related to the pandemic, but even beyond the pandemic?
Well, we have, the City of Austin, the Economic Development Department has rolled out about $50 million plus of funding for small businesses, nonprofits, and for as well as employees. We are, you know, attuned to knowing that our small businesses are the bedrock behind which our quality of life for the citizens that we have here in the city, that's what they stand on. And so we are about helping them make it. And so we have done that and we've done it in good fashion. And we're getting ready to reapply for another set of funding so that we can roll out some more money in 2022. We have, if you go to atxrecovers.com, atxrecovers.gov, G-O-V, you'll find that there's about 14 lines of what I call programs that deal with funding for nonprofits or small businesses or employees or whatever it may be. And so there you can find your area of need and your area, well, you have an area of need, but area of interest, and you can click on there and find a little bit more about what that's all about, and then be able to get some information. We have people that are on staff. You can call 311 and ask for information about what's happening with our programs, and there'll be someone who will call you back within 24 hours. And so we have a number. We're trying our best to be there for our citizens. There are a lot of hurting people, and we're just trying our best to be there for them.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think one of the things we've realized is that this pandemic has highlighted some of the realities that many people have experienced in general. But now folks who have never experienced either job loss or challenges related to that are starting to experience that. And for the Economic Development Department to focus on providing funding, which is often what is needed for these businesses to continue hiring, is great.
Right.
I want to get into a couple of things related to just kind of what you're going to do moving forward and kind of what you have experienced in your career at this point. First of all, what role did education play in you getting to where you are today?
Well, I went to the HBCU, Fayetteville State University in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I matriculated through there. When I left there, I had a business degree in hand and also had a commission as a lieutenant in the military. And so I took that and tried my best to utilize it and had success in the military, but had to get out as well. And so I exited the military, but I was able to, before I got out, I was able to acquire my Master's of Arts in Business Management. And then after maybe a couple of years after that, I was able to get an MBA, Master's of Business Administration. And so I hold those degrees now, and I'm eyeing the possibility of going back to school at some point in time as well. So, but they played a very good part in my understanding of what, of business, just the operation of business. When I am sitting with a prospect that we want to possibly fund, being able to talk the language and speak the language and understand what that business owner is going through, what some of their needs and that type of thing. I understand that because of that business degree. I'm not saying that someone else would not be able to do that, but that was some of the training that I had, and I was able to bring that to the table. And so those are the kinds of things that I have today, and so I lean on those very heavily. And then in addition, there's economic development training that we are able to take from time to time that helps us learn more about current day businesses and what they're doing these days. And so those things are positive, and it helps us on our professional development.
Yeah, I think one of the things I talk about in my coaching program is that education is not just learning information, which I think you're communicating, but it's also learning how to learn so you can continue to educate yourself. Exactly. A business degree from University of Fayetteville, when you received it, would not provide all the information you need today.
Right.
But when you add the Master of Arts in Business, you add the MBA, and then you add the continuing education with economic development, but just the experience of continuing to do what you do, gleaning information from other people, whether it be clients who are working with the city or just being around people in the sector. There's a formal education role, there's an informal education role. Yes. So much of that, I think, is gleaned from our community. And so what role do you feel like your family and kind of like your extended community growing up played in your ability to be where you are today?
My father was a military man, and so I wanted to follow him into the military. But he had one condition. He said, "I was an enlisted person, an enlisted officer in the military, and I want you to be an officer in the military." He says, "The things I had to go through, I don't want you to have to go through." And being in the officer rank would afford you some privileges that he didn't. He said he did not have. He was, he had been working for a famous general, General LeMay, which was one of the famous generals in one of the World Wars. And during the time that the Tuskegee Airmen was up in the air, and he tells a story about that and about how his heart was broken when they grounded the Tuskegee Airmen for no real reason. But it was he was there in the room. He was the orderly. He was the aide for the general. And so he was listening to some of the conversations that were going on around with the big table with all these generals. And so he was able to hear some things and see some things. And but it was I always talk about the fact that there's always a ram in the bush. So the Tuskegee Airmen were escorting our bombers across enemy lines, all right, to do bomb runs, okay? and they grounded them. Well, when they grounded them, other pilots who were non-African American happened to be the ones who were chosen to go up with them. And the bombers, after about 2 or 3 runs, said, "Look, I don't care what you don't like about them. I don't care what they look like. We want them back up escorting us, because when they escort us, we go home." And so they were able to get back up in the air. And he tells that story so proudly. He's gone now, but he tells it so proudly that I never forgot it. And so, it was just those kinds of things that he had experienced in life that shaped his view, and it shaped mine. And so he wasn't in business. He wasn't a businessman. My mother was a stay-at-home mother. He was an enlisted man in the military. We traveled though. That was one of the things I got out of being with him. We traveled. I stayed in France for 3 years. I was in Germany for a while. And those experiences outside of the United States, those experiences were good. You get a chance to see a plethora of people who either don't look like you or do look like you, but speak a different language.
Right.
And you find out what's really important in life. And what it really boils down to, you want the same thing they want, and they want the same thing they want out of life, which is, happiness, pursuit of happiness and quality of life and that type of thing, really. And so I had a chance to do that. Had some real good friends as I was growing up. And then when I was in the military, I also traveled overseas. I was in Turkey for a year. And, I visited Istanbul. And Istanbul, they talk about New York being the melting pot of the world. Got nothing on Istanbul.
Wow.
That's an old trading post. Okay. Biblical. It's biblical.
Right.
It's an old trading port. And so when you, it's such a huge city. And then when you stand up kind of away from it on the bluff and look at the city, and over in the distance, you see the nomads coming in on camelback, into the city to get resupplied. And then you see other folks coming into, and then you see every complexion of person, every eye shape, every hair texture, anything you can imagine, and the combination thereof.
Wow.
Because they're coming from Europe, they're coming from Africa, and they're coming from the Asian continent as well. And so they're all there, Wow. And it was quite an education.
That's awesome. I tell people all the time, traveling is a gift of education that you don't want to deny your children. I've already been thinking through steps to get my kids to different places, because I know how much, as I was in high school before I got on a plane. Right. I went to a workshop conference as a young congressman for a National Youth Leadership Conference in Washington, D.C. Had to wear a suit every day. I had to debate bills and write bills, and got to sit in Congress and debate on the floor. And it gave me an experience. And when I came back and studied AP government, it was so easy because I knew not only what I had read about, but what I experienced. Yes. So for you, I'm sure the geography of Turkey and France and Germany, when you have lived there, knowing where those places are on the map and seeing the world outside of a U.S. perspective, right, I think is always beautiful. And with Austin growing so uniquely from an international perspective, my pastor basically said, we don't have to go to the world because the world is coming to Austin. You know? And so when you go to different parts of our city, you are seeing just the diversity of the city from an international perspective that is exciting as well. Well, we're going to close out with a couple of questions about your future. What do you want your legacy to be? When you think about the end of your career and then at the end of your life, like what would you want your legacy to be?
Well, you know, I've I didn't talk about my my calling into the gospel. I am a preacher of the gospel. I'm a licensed and ordained minister, and so doing economic development and preaching the gospel are the two things I want to do the rest of my life. Yeah. They both help. They both help the human person that is here, and in my preaching, I'm able to help them in their moral compass, in their drive and where they're going, and to help them in the things that they do and how they look at other folks and how they treat other people, as well as where they go in terms of their everlasting life. Okay, because there is a life after this, And so I'm able to do that. So it's, economic development, I'm helping them in their current life, but in the gospel and helping them in the everlasting life. And so those are two things I really want to do. I just want to help people get from point A to point B, and if I can help in some kind of way, get them along the way, that's what I want to do. I mean, we deal with, I'm all about being effective in my programs. I have to deal with some folks who are efficient, okay? But efficiency has its place. It does. But if efficiency is all that we do and we're not being effective, guess what? We're not applying the things that we could. We're not helping that person who's sitting across that desk that says, "Hey, I need help. Can you help me?" And so I want to be able to help folks. And so that's one of the reasons why I do what I do.
So good, man. I think, that balance of meeting people's physical and spiritual needs is so much of what the Bible teaches about. You see Jesus seeing that people are hungry. He takes 2 fish, 5 loaves, feeds them, and then he shares the gospel. And so that's a great combination of skills and gifts and positioning that you've been given. What would you say is next for you in Austin as you think about how the next season in your life? What's next for you?
Well, I don't know yet. I mean, I leave it up to the Lord to guide and order my footsteps. I'm always open for opportunities. Maybe more opportunities at the city of Austin that I'm looking forward to. Or someplace else. I'm not sure yet, but wherever I'm going, it's always going to be dealing with economic development and dealing in preaching the gospel. Those are the two things I want to do. So I won't be too far from that. Wherever I go, I won't be too far from that.
Right.
And probably administration into the business somewhere, working for a city or county or whatever that may be.
Got you. Well, where can people find you if they want to hear more about you, if they want to invite you to preach at their church, if they want to get you on their podcast? Where can people find you?
You can find me at. I can give you. I'll give you my private email address for those who want to invite me to to preach. DustyMC7@gmail.com. DUSTYMC7@gmail.com. All right, and that's a way you can get to me. Which is that's you got it perfectly. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I can easily be found on LinkedIn, Joseph C. Dusty, and just leave it at that, and you'll find me.
Right.
And they can connect with me there as well. But if you want, with regard to the city of Austin, my number is 512-974-6390. Love to talk to you about business. Love to talk to you about how we can help you in your business. Love to introduce our programs to you, introduce you to our other staff members that we have, because we have some brilliant staff members who are doing great and wonderful things, and they're just as committed just as I am, And so we like doing that, and so we'd love to be able to talk to someone about their business endeavors and where they want to go.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you being on the podcast today. I did want to reiterate the website you talked about, ATX Recovers. Go there and get access to the resources that are available. So many people in our community don't take advantage of resources that are out there, and they go unused, or people get them who may not fully need them. So please, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to be able to get the help, support to invest in you while you're developing your business in this season, you want to take advantage of that. Also, just appreciate your educational journey, your life story, that so many people, I believe, can relate to, and the commitment you've had over the last number of years to the city of Austin. And so look forward to the ways that you will impact the city in the days ahead. We do want to let you know this podcast is aired every Friday on my YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter at 8:30 a.m. And so if you know of people in Austin that you think we should be interviewing about what's good in Austin in the education area, faith, fame, somebody who's famous, also community, and the business sector. Those are the ones we're focusing on a monthly basis, and we look forward to having more individuals pop on. So we want to encourage you. My book is coming out. So you go to CoreyTabor.com/book launch.
Okay.
Take advantage of the new book that is coming out, Prioritize for Your Purpose, Ordering Your Life to Be Extraordinary. It is going to be a life-changing resource to help people discover why they're here and how they can maximize their life and make it happen. And then I want to definitely encourage you to go and subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't subscribed already, everyone, go ahead and go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to Google, all of the different channels that are out there, platforms that are out there, in order to be able to get your option to What's Good Austin. So this is Corey Tabor, your host, the Purpose Partner. And until next time, remember to love your family, be a good neighbor, and make a deposit in someone else's life.